Today, I'll give you a simple system that you can start using right now to increase your English level, specifically your English speaking skills. If you're watching this, you're probably comfortable with English vocabulary, English grammar, and you can probably understand most, if not everything, that native English speakers say, such as myself. But when it's your turn to talk, you are still inarticulate. Most of you have the foundation set. You have all of the pieces of the puzzle. You just don't know how to actually apply it fluently to actually have a spontaneous conversation. And this isn't necessarily just a fluency problem. There's probably a huge problem with the system that you're actually using to practice and improve your English. And if your system and study routine, if you have one, isn't right, then that may be the reason why you are stuck and just plateauing at the intermediate levels of English. So the system I'll give you will actually prepare you to use real English for real life situations. And it's not just about studying, it's really about doing and applying. Now, for a quick background, for years, I was someone who was usually pretty good at studying when I had to learn a new language. My flashcards were perfectly organized, and I never missed a day on Duolingo. I was really good at being consistent and constantly studying, constantly listening, and constantly reading. But of course, when I came into real life interactions with French speakers because I was trying to learn French, then I was completely inarticulate and far from fluent, despite how much I actually practiced observing the French language. I felt like a walking textbook that actually couldn't really speak. And believe me, and if you are a language learner, you definitely know what I'm talking about. There is no worse feeling than being able to almost perfectly understand a language, but then being completely useless when you have to use it in a real life situation. So, after years of observing the French language and understanding it, I finally came to a realization that what I'm doing is obviously not working because I still cannot speak the language that I'm trying to learn. And I'm quite sure that the same thing is happening to a lot of you guys watching this who are trying to learn English. So I already wasted years figuring this out. So be better than me and actually take this system and apply it immediately. And it can be broken down into 3 very simple steps. And you can use these 3 steps on a daily basis, every single day. The first step is input to output. In other words, as soon as you consume some form of English media, this could be as small as reading a comment in the comment sections on YouTube or listening to a 3-hour podcast. No matter what it is, don't just consume it and then move on. Actually consume it and then incorporate some output, incorporate some actual application after you consume that English media. All you need to do is just spend a few minutes after you consume the media, just summarizing it or analyzing it in your head. Just a few minutes. And then simply just ask yourself open ended questions. That's it. An example of an open ended question could be, what was my opinion on the YouTube comment? Or what was my opinion on the 3-hour podcast that I just listened to? What was my opinion and why? That's all you really need to ask yourself. And then once you've compiled your thoughts within a few minutes, then actually articulate them out loud. It's really, really important that you physically say them out loud and not in your head, because you actually need to physically train your mouth to give an instant response once your brain observes something. This is what's going to take you to the next level when it comes to speaking in English. It's actually training your mouth to respond to something in a more spontaneous way than you otherwise would have. And to do this, you need to express yourself after you consume any form of English media, and you need to express yourself actually in English. You can also do this in a written format too as well. Like, for example, even this YouTube video that you're watching right now, you can go in the comment section and then summarize your thoughts about this video. What's your opinion on it? Have you tried any of these exercises? Does it make sense to you? Can you see yourself actually improving? Have you improved from it? There are a million different open ended questions you can answer about really anything, which leads to the second step and is closely related, which is question driven narrative. This is just a deeper way of doing the last step, which is by transforming things that you do on a daily basis into speaking practice. So at each point throughout the day, whether it's commuting to work, drinking coffee, or having a shower at the end of the day, just simply ask yourself simple questions like, what did I learn about yesterday? Or what am I going to do tomorrow? Just simple questions related to what you do on a daily basis. And you can almost narrate your own life in English. But the key again to this step, like the last one, is you really need to speak out loud. You will not see progress. You will not see the results that you want to see if you do not physically train your mouth to speak out loud in English. If you take anything away from this video, take that one piece away at least. But essentially, the second step just involves narrating your life as you go through it and actually narrating your life in a spontaneous way. And this leads to the final step, which we can call just rehearsing. And all this implies is just rehearsing, preparing for future conversations. This exercise probably single handedly is what made me a fluent French speaker. And it can make you a fluent English speaker as well, too. But it is absolutely powerful if you actually get in the habit of doing this at least once or twice per day. All you need to do is just think about the conversations that you will most likely have in the future. For example, if you have a meeting at work the next day, think about the types of questions that will be asked and how you're going to articulate yourself and respond to them in English. And then actually practice and prepare what you're going to say the next day or the next time in the future when somebody asks you a particular question. So, for example, if you're preparing for a job interview, then obviously you're going to practice and prepare your answers for the questions that they will most likely ask you during the job interview. Also, if you were walking around in public and somebody asked you for directions and you weren't sure how to properly articulate yourself in English to give good directions, then when you get home, actually rehearse a better way to articulate yourself the next time somebody asks you that question in the future. Rehearsing commonly asked questions or just questions that you will encounter in general is a extremely powerful exercise because once you come into common real life interactions, it will be second nature. You won't have to think twice. You will be able to spontaneously express yourself because you've already practiced expressing yourself for this situation many times over by yourself. A common mistake I see a lot of English learners make is just to rely on their real life interactions as their practice for learning English. If you do this, it can literally take you years until you get to a more conversationally fluent level of English, like the upper B2 level or the C1 levels of English. Practicing by yourself and not necessarily with other native English speakers or other English speakers in general is completely underrated. It's extremely, extremely powerful. And it honestly could be the difference between you being a fluent speaker in English in the matter of months versus becoming a fluent speaker in English in the matter of years. A lot of people think, oh, if I just live somewhere where people speak English, if I'm just immersed in it, it will just wash over. No, absolutely not. You will need to spend time practicing by yourself. You will need to drill it. You will need to get repetitions practicing your speaking by yourself if you want to learn how to speak English faster. It's the same thing as learning how to play an instrument for the first time or play a sport for the first time. You will need to get those repetitions until it becomes natural. At first, it will always be very unnatural. So, simply put, this system bridges the gap from observing to applying simply because you're actually using your skills like speaking, writing, typing, and texting. You're not just passively watching videos on your phone, reading articles on your phone, or even just going through Duolingo every single day. And that's no hate to Duolingo. It's good for beginners. But if you actually want to learn how to speak and have real conversations, you will need to put forth a little bit more effort than just going on Duolingo. And each of these steps trains a different sub skill, such as immediate response, spontaneous narration, and then, of course, rehearsing and thoughtful preparation. Just doing this simple system to force yourself to speak spontaneously for 15 to 30 minutes every single day will make you light years ahead of other people who are relying on reactive practicing or passively listening and consuming content, but never actually using it. Get into the habit of doing this, even if it's just a little bit every day, and you will see results. I promise you, you will absolutely see improvement. Now, if you found anything useful in this video, be sure to like the video. It will help spread the word to other English learners. And also, if you're new here or a returning viewer, leave a comment down below letting me know where you're from and what your native language is. I'm always very curious to know. If you want to know another excellent way to convert listening into speaking skills, be sure to watch the next video on the screen.